y'all. I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
Hey y'all, this is April.
Hey, it's Caroline.
And this is your Bloody Happy Hour.
It is. We are back. We're thirsty, and we hope that you are too.
Yes. And we got a good story. So right now, we're not going to go straight into it yet. It's coming. But I need you to get your drink ready or your popcorn or, I don't know, like it's going to be a juicy good one.
It's going to be a juicy good one. But first, while you're getting all that stuff ready, go ahead and go to Apple Podcasts, and you should rate, review, and subscribe to Bloody Happy Hour. Write a little review and send it to at least 28 friends and just tell them how great it is. That is really all you have to do. And maybe you could email us a fun little story. That would be neat. That would be neat.
Yeah. RRS, rate, review, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Caroline, somebody's asking about merch. I mean, I just got a text message.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Listen, here's my issue.
She'll basically have hoodies ready at spring break.
I have all these ideas, and then they just evolve over time. And April just has to be like, stop. That's what we're doing. Let's go. So they're ready. We just need to make a little Google Doc for y'all to, or whatever, for y'all to kind of order them.
Yeah.
So that's happening.
Yeah. Or maybe it already has.
Maybe it already has.
This airs.
Listen, we're going to do it. We got this. This is great.
This is great. They are actually some great
I think they look pretty good.
Designs, like great designs.
Yeah.
And we were just talking that we have to slowly get rid of our CG stuff and replace it with BHH stuff.
Yes, because that's literally half my wardrobe is, well, it's still going to continue to be sweatshirts and t-shirts and hats, but now it's just going to have different writing on it.
Bloody Happy Hour.
I know this is a little bit old, but okay, first of all, let me just tell you that really quickly. Do you watch TikToks?
Yeah. Not all the time, but I do.
Okay, well, there's times where you just, once you get on it, it
sucks you
it's
in.
like the Chinese, they really know what they're doing. They know what you like. They know what I like, at least, because they just keep sending, like, the next video. I'm done. No, I'm done. No, I'm done. No. So anyways, there's video. It was like this highway, I guess it was like out in California or something. It's like this big armored truck, like this money truck, Brinks or something.
Yeah.
Like it crashed or something. And literally like money is going everywhere.
What are people doing? And why are they TikToking it and not helping them pick it up and put it back in the truck?
Okay. Exactly.
I feel like it's got like a tracking device on the money.
So all these people everywhere are just like picking up this money. I mean, and this is like 3 weeks old or whatever, but still, it's like they're picking it up, and they're like stuffing it in their shirts. And they're like, but there's the one video where it's like, it shows the people, like these people pull over on the side of the highway, like get out the car, go get them. I mean, what would you do?
I could not steal.
Oh.
I stole one time in my life, and it was a pair of pants.
The issue is
shorts, and I was punished literally that week, like because something was stolen from me, and I was like, okay, that's the golden rule. I will never. So even one time I bought this, and listen to this. This is crazy. I was like 17 years old, and we used to go to the hood and buy alcohol because some guy used to let us buy alcohol, right? So I gave him a $20 beer. I was underage, 17, buying alcohol. I'll commit that crime, right?
Yeah.
And he gave it to me. He let me buy it. He gave me $88 in change back. I gave him a $20. He should have gave me like $8 back.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I was like, here, you gave me $80 more. And then I walked out drank my illegal alcohol, got back in the car with my friends, and we left. So I will commit those crimes, but I will not.
But you gave the money back.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'll commit a lot of other crimes.
Yeah.
Not really crimes, but stealing to me, I don't know why. So to me, like, I would have that money immediately, but then, like, I'll get robbed down the road for double the amount, and then I can't. Then I feel guilty.
Yeah. Well, so apparently these people thought it was free money.
And maybe it is. And maybe I would have just missed out. Now, Sweet Pea would have got it. And if Sweet Pea would have got it, I probably still would have spent it.
So apparently these people thought it was free money. But then, like, one of the TikTokers, like, it had her, like, license plate in the back. And so, anyways, they tracked down.
She get in trouble?
Well, I'm sure she had to, like, give it back, turn it back in and stuff. Like, I don't know. But it's like, I don't know.
What would your, like, Trenton would have been... had his trunk open and like throwing shit in his trunk.
I'm gonna have to show you this video,
and then he would have had to be like, it's crazy.
Oh my gosh!
What do you expect people to do though?
I know. I mean, what do? It's like when you go into that like money pit at the if you're on some kind of game show and it's like, we're gonna blow all this money around while you're sitting in this box and see how much money you can get, and you're like grabbing it all like kids. That's how it was. It was like flying everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So they were basically, maybe they thought they were in a game show.
Yeah. What would you guys do? Would you take some money off camera
and like
not show your license plate and speed away, and then would you have any guilt afterwards, or would you just be making it rain? What would you do, Caroline?
Well, I would probably just be like, well, everybody else is doing it.
That is exactly what you would do. And then you'll be like, well, as long as we all go to jail together.
Yeah.
I just don't want to go by myself.
I don't want to go by myself at all. 0%. What are we doing today?
Okay, so this is a very tragic story. It's a good story, and I'm going to have to tell y'all how I stumbled on this story. Caroline's heard this story a couple months ago.
Is this when I closed the computer?
This is when you put on your, remember that work mode you were just talking about?
Yes.
That D&D?
Do not disturb.
Yes.
Yeah.
I put mine on too. Okay, so I turned 40 in April, and Soupy had a trip planned for me, but I didn't know what it was. Like, I just got in the car and we left, and we were going to Louisiana. So he told me about halfway. And so what am I doing? Okay, Louisiana murders. I hope somebody else out there does that. Everywhere you travel, you should be looking at some historical serial killers or like famous murders in the places.
For
Caroline started.
Yeah.
You did that when you went
looked
to Vegas.
It up. Oh, I did go to the Vegas hotel.
Yeah, you just went to you did the whole thing in Vegas. So I try to do that in a lot of places that I go. So the whole time down there, we're listening to true crime podcasts, and I found a story of Zack Bowen and Addie Hall, and I was like, let's listen to it. And it's Southern Fried True Crime. Is that what it is?
That's one of them.
Yeah, Southern Fried True Crime did a 2-part series on it.
I think a few other ones did too.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's a big case.
Yeah, it's a big case. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. This is before we had a podcast.
Yeah.
And then I also ordered the book. So I had the book waiting on me on my front door, like by the time I got home. Anyway, so let me tell you, I also went to these places that we're about to talk about. And so if you go to Instagram or our Facebook, you'll see me at this place I'm telling you about right here, right now. So it was Tuesday, October 17th, 2006. Zack arrived at his friend Squirrel's house. Okay, and so Squirrel was passed out. It was like 4:00 in the afternoon, and Squirrel was passed out because he was up all night drinking, and he had a hangover. Well, Zack was getting him to wake him up to come and party, but Squirrel wasn't having it, right? Squirrel was like having a hangover. So Zack just went to the stash, and it's like a cocaine stash. Squirrel was like the local drug dealer, and he grabbed like a $20 bag of cocaine. And I feel like cocaine's real expensive, so I don't feel like that wouldn't be a lot.
Yeah, I think
I don't feel like that wouldn't be a lot, but I don't know why Sturdy Chad. So
let me text him.
Okay, text him real quick. So then He grabbed some cocaine and he took off walking down in the French Quarters. We're in Louisiana. It's French Quarters. And he goes to a hotel called the La Riviera.
Uh-huh.
And it's the Omni. It's the Omni Royal New Orleans Hotel. And I've been there. He gets on the elevator and he takes it to the rooftop pool. And there's this band playing. And it's like a Latin band. So he's sitting down and he's ordering like shots of Jameson. He's like going to the bathroom and sniffing the cocaine. He's coming back and he's there for a little bit. He's smoking his cigarettes and drinking his Jameson. Well, the waiter is like, let me keep an eye on him because I don't need him to walk out on his tab, because he notices Zack. He gets up. And he's kind of like pacing by the pool. So he was like, he's about to go and run out on this tab.
Oh,
so the waiter delivers a drink. And when he looks back, Zack is gone. So he's thinking he hit the elevator. I got to eat this tab with all this Jameson. Well, little did he know that when Zack got up, he paced back and forth from the pool to the rail, And at 8:30 sharp, he leaped off the side of the rooftop. And he landed 5 stories down. There was like a parking garage down there. And he died instantly. I mean, like, who wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Nobody saw him jump.
How high was it?
It was 5 stories. So this is a big 4-star hotel rooftop, but there was a parking garage like kind of in the middle. So he landed on the roof of the parking garage. So he didn't fall all the way down to the ground. So...
Unless you're in the show, you just jump out and you still survive.
What season is that? Are you on?
This season, current season. Mm-hmm. I'm watching you. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's good. I just finished it. Okay, so.
It's a lot of threesomes.
There's a whole swingers episode.
There is.
I didn't even guess it. I was like, where's she going with this?
I know.
So the code is, do you want to play with us?
Oh.
That's what she said. I guess it's not a code, but she was like, would you like to play with us? And so.
Yeah, because I was like, this is how you get into it?
There's a whole TikTok frenzy about it, too. Anyways, I need to quit being obsessed with all this because I don't need people to think. But it's all over TikTok, too.
Oh, I'm going to have to get on that TikTok. For sure.
All you gotta do is search it.
Yeah.
Okay, so he landed 5 stories down, and nobody saw him jump. So Latin music was playing, and people were like dancing, and swimming and stuff. Well, somebody finally saw him, and they called 911. So then here comes the police, and the code for suicide is 29S or 29S, and it happens all the time because it's post-Katrina, Hurricane Katrina.
Yep.
It's New Orleans. People are depressed, so suicides are happening all the time. So the detective, she's like, well, it's probably just a routine call. So he goes, he sees Zack's body, and it's either one or the other. Like, either you have a horrible, gruesome crime scene or none really at all. Well, that was Zack. He had a little bit of blood coming out of his mouth, and that was it. They dug in his pocket, and in his pockets was a plastic bag. And the plastic bag had some keys
and
some dog chains, what are they called?
Dog
chains,
like military
dog chains, and a letter.
Oh no!
And let me read you this letter because I got it favorited on my phone. This is not accidental. I had to take my own life to pay for the one I took. If you send a patrol to 826 North Rampart Street, you will find the dismembered corpse of my girlfriend Addie in the oven, comma, on the stove, comma, in the fridge, and along with full documentation on both of us, as well as a full signed confession from myself. The keys are in my right pocket for the gates. Call Leo Watermeyer to let you in. Zack, Bowen. Leo is the landlord.
Okay. What? Okay. Listen, I like at least, nothing about what happened, but that he told you what happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably weird, but that's
It's a full
I like the closure.
Yes. Yeah. And like he leaves a letter. It's like 8 pages of a full confession, detail by detail by detail.
After that one?
Yeah, when they go, it's at the apartment.
Okay.
Okay, so after realizing, like, the cops were like, oh, this is no joke. This is no joke. Let's go to this address. Let's go get Leo. Leo's the landlord, and he lives across the street.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just twisting.
And he lets him in, and they are telling Leo what's happening on their way over there. So Leo ain't like me. I would have been like, hold on, y'all can't go in without me. Because I wouldn't want to see the crime scene. Leo opens the gate, gives him the key, and was like, here, this is not my business. And he, like, damn near sprints back to his
wants
apartment.
nothing to see. Nothing to do with that. He can smell it.
Yeah, it's bad. So this house, I've been here. It's like a cottage, but it's maybe like a fourplex. Like there's 2 apartments on the bottom. There's 2 doors. So 2 apartments on the bottom, 2 apartments on the back. And the back are on the top, and then you got to take stairs from the back of the building to get to the top ones. So they were going to the top apartment. On the bottom of these apartments is a voodoo spiritual temple, voodoo shop, and it's run by priestess Miriam Chamani. And she's well-known, well-respected.
I feel like those are probably, like, around there.
Oh,
like,
everywhere. It's normal French Quarter life, like... You know, I would probably go and tour
Madame
any other.
LaLaurie.
Yeah. Well, she's a whole other episode.
I know.
She was real crazy. So she was the priestess there. She actually married Lisa Marie Presley and Nicolas Cage together.
Oh, wow.
And that was real not successful. So
she's doing well.
She's doing real well. So there's rumors that this place is like not haunted, but it's like, I guess it would be haunted.
Yeah,
that's rumors of like haunting and like it's evil or whatever. So
bad juju for the voodoo.
Bad juju, basically. So what happened is when they got to the apartment, the crime scene was gruesome. It was freezing cold, like 60 degrees in there. He had turned the AC unit like full blast, 60 degrees, beer cans everywhere, Jameson bottles everywhere, Jägermeister everywhere. The walls were spray painted on and it had written messages. One of the messages said, please call my wife. I love her. I'm a total failure. Another message said, look in the oven. And on the ceiling above his bed, it said, please help me stop the pain. So then they look in the kitchen and there's a big silver arrow above the stove pointing down to the stove. Oh my gosh. So they're like, rock, paper, scissors. She's going to open up the stove. Oh, no. So they open up the stove and inside
turkey
were
dinner.
Addie's in a big full turkey pan we all just used for Thanksgiving. Addie's legs and arms were charred in there.
This was, okay. Legs and arms.
Yes.
I don't know what happens when you cook a body, so I guess it shrivels.
It was like charred, like, so it was like he burnt it. He either cooked it too long or he cooked it too high. They were charred. To me, in his mind, he was probably trying to cook down everything and he could just dispose of the meat.
Yeah.
Like a roast, will cook down.
I don't think my legs could fit in an oven.
They couldn't. He would need to chop yours off at the knee.
I'm very visual, so this is why I need to know all the details.
She was real little. She was petite too.
Okay,
she was like
there we
5
go.
foot.
That's okay. But
so
that's terrible.
On top of the range, there was like this big, like, they probably call it gumbo pot. We probably call it like a tamale pot or a pasta pot.
Catherine Knight
pots. Or Dennis Nielsen pot.
Oh my gosh.
And coming out of the pot was a big thicket of hair, and her head was inside that pot. And on another burner was another pot, and it had her hands and her feet boiling inside of that one. Or inside of it in water. It's not boiling anymore. And inside the fridge was her torso, legless, armless torso, just wrapped in a black garbage bag, just stuffed. Because probably, I'm just trying to get in his mind, is he probably was going to cook these, get rid of that, and then cook the torso, get rid of that, and then, like, done. Then he's going to go about his life.
I mean, do you just, like, I don't know.
Can you imagine the cops
I
puking?
Well, it's just like Charlie Brandt.
Mm-hmm.
This dismembered body and just like
Had to take breaks.
They
had to take breaks.
Awful.
So here's it hits the news really quick, right? And so newspapers are like, what happened? Did he go Katrina crazy? Is he a Katrina cannibal? Was he in a Katrina funk? And then the New York Times had a title, Gal Pal Gumbo.
Oh,
It was all very not respectful to Addie. And then they were thinking he was this drug addicted, like madman that flipped out.
I would think it's because it sounds like it would be somebody who had like some kind of an overdose or some kind of like
mental issue.
Yeah.
That would do that, or that would do the killing. Yeah. Well, it turns out that Zack was not crazy at all. Everybody who talked about him in the French quarters was totally shocked. And he was a former Army sergeant. He was a veteran of 2 wars. He was a beloved bartender and like delivery man in the French quarters. So it was like, what happened?
Like what triggered him?
Yeah. So we had a fellow true crime person down there on his honeymoon when like days after all this happened. It's all in the news. His name is Ethan Brown. He's the author of Shake the Devil Off.
Oh.
Okay, so when I found out about this book, I ordered it. It was on my front step before I came back. So when I came back, I read it. And he was on his honeymoon. He heard about it, and he was obsessed. So what does an obsessed true crime person do on their honeymoon when there's a good case?
Probably go visit the crime scene or something.
Of course.
Obviously.
And he extended his honeymoon an extra couple weeks. So he stays and he starts interviewing everybody, like all their friends, all their everybody. And him and his, so he's there. Turns out they found out Zack might have PTSD. So let me tell you a little bit about Zack Bowen.
Okay, let's get it.
He was born in Bakersfield. He was born in 1978. His parents were like gypsy type at first. Like they rented this van. They traveled the country. And when he was a baby, and mom was finally like, I can't live this life. You need to get a new job. You need to get a job, to the dad. So he gets a job, but he don't like being settled down. So then dad ends up being like in strip bars all the time and out all the time. So mom ends up leaving him. So she takes her boys and she leaves them. And dad's like, okay, well, let me quit this job. I only did it for you. And he's like traveling the world, drinking and doing all the things. So then Zack, now she's raising these kids by herself. And now Zack's in high school, and he's a pretty cool guy. Like, he's pretty popular. He's tall. He's 7 feet tall.
7 feet tall?
He is 7 feet.
Gosh.
Yeah, you should have found him. Y'all could have had a D1 athlete.
He could have chopped me up.
He wore size 17 shoe, but he got along good with everybody. So good that he was nominated for the homecoming court.
Wow.
So here in Texas, that's like a big thing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know how it is with
yeah.
everybody else. And so he was very serious about this. He was like, I want to get this. And he thought he was going to make everybody proud. But when he didn't get it,
oh no,
he was 100% totally dedicated. I mean, it's totally devastated.
He was just like way too obsessed with having to win.
Well, yeah. Yes. He made the nominee, but he didn't get crowned king. And he didn't go back to school after that. Like he didn't want to. He was apologizing to his family. He didn't want to show his face at the school.
He was so embarrassed.
He was that embarrassed.
Embarrassed.
That's
terrible.
And so he quit school.
Oh, that's a great reason. So good, Zack. Way to go, Zach.
This ends up being Zack's first failure, according to him, in life. Not being crowned king.
Lord.
I know.
Get over yourself.
So he quit school and he goes with his dad. So he's traveling with his dad, and
traveling to the strip clubs.
Like living life in a van.
Getting porn all the time.
Probably.
Yeah, see?
Maybe it all goes back to porn.
Back to the porn. I'm telling you. Whew.
They end up in New Orleans, and he decides, okay, I'll stay here with my dad in New Orleans, and he enrolls in school but quits like basically the next day because he's like the only white kid. It's New Orleans, Louisiana, and he's like, I'm just gonna work. And dad don't give a shit. He's not a dad. He's more like a friend.
Yeah.
So he's working, and he is looking good. Like, he's grown into his body. Like, the women in the French Quarters love him. The gay men there love him. They're like hitting on him. And so he's feeling himself.
Yeah, he
feeling
is.
Himself.
Yeah, he
feeling
is.
Himself. Feeling my.
Wow.
So he gets a job as a cup guy. Do you remember that?
A cup? Oh, I do remember. And I was like, what's a cup guy?
So before COVID, we, like, as Texas folks, we didn't know what that was because we can't walk around the street with alcohol in our hand. But in New Orleans, you just go to a window and you order your favorite drink and you can walk around in it. So he was that person making and serving those drinks in New Orleans on Bourbon Street. So he sold.
Does he have like a tray, like at Six, or like when they're at a stadium and you have a tray out of your waist, like a waiter tray, and you're walking around with like strapped on tray?
Maybe.
I don't
know. But I think there's like a window that they went up to and they ordered. It was like an actual.
Why is he called a
building.
cup guy?
He's the cup guy because he would pass the cups out to everybody.
They just got cups?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
With no drinks.
And then they would fill the drinks.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I don't know how you made that into a 5-minute conversation. Okay.
You're welcome.
So he's a cup guy, and now Caroline, we clarified for Caroline what that is. Yep. We never hear that very much. So then, here comes Lana. He meets Lana, and Lana's this badass stripper, like badass stripper. She's there on vacation. She's from Houston. She ran away from home at an early age, and she makes like $2,000 a night stripping in Houston.
Wow, I'm gonna try. It's too late for me. Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. So she's vacationing there. She meets Zack, and they hit it off. They love each other, right? Or they really like each other at this time. But she has to go back. And so when she goes back, he's calling her every day. Come back, come back, come back. So she does. She ups. She doesn't get rid of her place, but she rents a temporary place in New Orleans.
Wow.
That's kind of exciting. I'm too scared to do anything like that. So she rents a place in New Orleans, and they're dating. And it's bliss for all of a minute because she gets pregnant. And then she finds out he's only 18 years old, and this bitch is 28.
Oh. Oh, so but he's like 7 feet tall, so he looks way older.
She never asked. It's her fault. You need to be checking IDs these days.
Unless she did ask and he lied.
Well, she found out, and so she was mad at him, but she couldn't stay too mad because now they're pregnant.
Now she has the baby.
And here comes Jackson, and he falls in love with Jackson. He's going to be a great dad to Jackson. And then here comes Lily, and he's a great dad to Lily. And so they decide to get married.
2 kids, cup guy, and stripper. Okay.
And stripper.
Yep.
And they decide to get married, and they have a beautiful wedding. He cries at the wedding. Oh. But big brother, leave it up to the big sibling always. We're going to always check our little siblings, like, get your life together. So big brother Jed is like, I'm going to need you to do a self-reflection. You didn't graduate high school. You're a bartender. You got 2 kids, and your wife's a stripper. I'm going to need you to do something different. So he did. He goes and gets his GED, and he feels great. So yay, right? Then he joins the Army. Yay, 8-year term. And
after he had the kids?
Yeah.
Oh, so he just bounced out on him.
Yeah. Yes, he actually did.
He's like,
but he's thinking, I don't want my baby's mama to be a stripper, so let me get a job where I get some benefits and be part of something, so maybe she don't have to strip.
Or let me go so I don't have to be a dad to these kids.
Let me go on and escape this.
Go until they get grown, and then I'll come back.
Well, that's exactly how Lana felt about it. And so when he actually was I
channeled my inner Lana.
You did. When he went to Kosovo, he was calling her, and she was like bitching.
Yeah, she's like,
she had 2 kids by herself, and he was stressed because he had long days. He was tired. And then remember he had a size 17 foot?
Oh, and they had too small of shoes for him,
His
and he
boots?
had a freaking hammer toe.
Hammer toe.
And he had the damn dangle toe, and he had freaking turf toe.
Turf toe. He had all
Don't
the
even
toes.
care about your toes.
Well, he hated
Sound like
life
Aaron Rodgers over here.
because his foot hurt so bad, and it was debilitating to where he had to have surgery. So he was 14 hours on his feet, coming home to Atlanta. Atlanta was bitching, so he was like, maybe this army thing wasn't a great idea. They don't even got my right size boots for me.
No.
He had surgery, and he was able to go home to Atlanta, and he settled her down a little bit, and he was like, here's the paperwork, come back to Germany with me. I'll be stationed in Kosovo. Maybe Kosovo's in Germany. I don't know.
Sounds right. I am a geography teacher. I should know this.
So
Look it up.
Lana was like, okay, maybe life will be better there. So she goes, and he continues to go up the ladder. He's like not private anymore. He's specialist. And now they're in Iraq because it's like the Iraqi war, and they're trying to find the weapons of mass destruction that were never there way back then. You were 7 years old, I think.
What year was this all?
2002.
After? Oh, so this is before. No. When was 9/11? 9/11?
Well, this
2001.
happened. Yeah. Okay. So 9/11 happened.
This
and
is
then
the next year.
It causes all that. So there's these wars that he has to be a part of.
Yeah.
When he joined, he was like, "Oh, there's no wars. We'll just join and get the benefits." But
and
then
then
like all shit
Yeah.
broke loose. He had a good friend in his unit, which was the 527th unit, named Rachel. She dies in a Humvee accident. She's young. They were good friends. They would like be the live ones of the group. They would humorous. They would make drinks together after the long days and like wait on everybody. So she died basically in front of his eyes. And so this was hard for him. So he kind of gets a little depressed from that, right? As anybody would. And then not only did she die, he had other army people that like lost their legs, lost their arms because they were blown up in this Humvee.
Yeah.
So then you get survivor's remorse, right? Like you're mad that you didn't get hurt and they were hurt, but you weren't there to save them. So then his feet's still hurting. He lost his friend. His other friends are hurt. And then he friends a little Iraqi boy named Rashid. I don't think that's Rashid's real name.
Oh.
And Rashid's family owns a grocery store. Okay? You're rolling your eyes because you're like, these stories are probably not even true.
No, this literally everything you just said is what Dirty Chad told me 24/7.
He read this book.
He was blown up. Everybody around him was injured and killed. He had to watch it. He had to kill kids. He had to do this. Bitch, I found your paperwork. All you were was a damn clerk. You were folding towels in the background. You didn't even see any action.
You didn't go anywhere.
You made up all this shit.
He made it
So
up.
I'm a little sus. I'm a little suspicious
about Zack's story.
Zack's story, but that's just because, I mean, it could be his own story. I don't know. I just have a bad taste in my mouth. Blah, blah, blah.
Last time we did this, we were like, Dirty Chad is Zack Bowen.
Yeah.
Bowen,
yeah.
whatever his last name is.
Yeah.
Okay, so research shows that Rashid was a person, and so was his family, and they owned this store there. And so Rashid would bring Zack all these snacks, and in turn, Zack would teach him English. So they're friends for like weeks and weeks and weeks and months. And then Rashid and his family got blown up by the insurgents. I still don't know what that means, but they're the bad people.
Uh-huh.
And then he felt even worse.
Oh,
because
poor guy.
Now, because they got blown up because they were friending Zack.
Yeah, I mean, he's losing all of his friends.
He's losing everything, right? So he's depressed. Yeah. Shit keeps happening. And now Lana gets hepatitis C.
Oh, no. Oh, I looked. Okay.
You did look that up last time.
I did. I have to look up again.
It was a disease.
Yeah, but we didn't know what kind.
And it was so bad that she was deathly sick. So Zack wanted to leave to go be with his wife because it was.
I thought they moved over there.
I know, but he was at war. She was in Germany.
Oh, hell.
So
okay.
she was
Yeah, you're right.
maybe closer. She wasn't in New Orleans by herself, but he was
Yeah.
at war. And so he was trying to get the okay to go back and to go take care of his wife and get that extenuating circumstance. And they denied it each time. They denied it. And he was pissed because he couldn't go. And they were like, we need you more here. There's more lives at stake here.
It's
Use
from
one
like
life.
sharing needles.
Yeah.
Or unsterile tattoo equipment.
Yeah.
So she either got a bad tattoo or she's shooting up meth or something.
Something. Well, so now he's pissed at his superiors in the Army, and he's pissed because he can't be there with Lana, and Lana's puking every day because she has to go through this treatment, right?
Oh, my gosh. And the kids are there with her.
Kids are there with her, but they're little, and she doesn't have anybody, but she gets through it, right? And he gets to go back
never
home.
Stop stripping.
Well, she should have stayed made in that 2,000. She stayed in Houston.
Oh.
Everything would have been better right now. So he's out of the Army, or he's out of the war. The war's over. He gets to go home, and he's got horrible PTSD. He can't sleep, right? He's barely eaten, and he's pissed at the Army. So now he is purposely failing his PFTs, physical fitness test.
Oh, so he can get out.
Yeah, he wants to be done.
Yeah.
He wants to be done. So he's in shape where he can do it, but he's like, fell in the sit-up test, fell in the push-up test, fell in the mile, month after month. It was like April, failed, May, failed, June, failed, all on purpose, and then he was discharged. So he got what he wanted. And his superior said, or his captain was like, honorable discharge, let's, you go about your business. Well, somebody came behind him and changed it to general discharged.
Oh, what's that?
So there's dishonorable, honorable, and general.
Oh.
General is neither of the two, but you lose your benefits if you get general.
Oh, hell.
So now he's pissed.
I wonder what determines if you get... Okay, that's neither here nor there, but...
Yeah, well, if you do something like commit a crime or do something wrong, but he didn't do anything wrong besides fail those tests. Nobody knows.
Somebody just was...
Yeah, and he didn't argue. He was just pissed. That just made him more pissed, right?
He probably wasn't
He didn't
likable.
argue it. Yeah. So now he goes home to Lana, and he's like, we got to be gone. We out the military. We don't have no home loan anymore.
Wow.
Like, I don't have any benefits. And Lana just got better.
And that's like a big thing.
Yeah. And she's like, what happened? And he refused to tell her anything because his plan, he had a plan. He didn't think it was going to go that way. So it literally is his fault. Like he could have passed those tests.
Yeah.
And did his 8 years. Well, she was like, F this. She packed up her stuff.
I'm out.
She was like,
go back to stripping.
Yeah, let me go back. So she packed up her stuff. She flew back to New Orleans, and she was like, let me find a job. Let me find an apartment because I don't got time for this. So that's what she did. And finally, so now Zack has the kids all by himself. So he's stressed now because she left the kids with him in Germany. Because she's like, they at least have somewhere to live here.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like couch surfing until I find a place. So they're safe with their daddy that ain't been here this whole time anyways.
Oh, my gosh.
So he can't handle it. But they end up, everybody goes back to French quarters. And they're good, but not really. Because Lana got her boyfriend in those couple months that she was in French quarters by herself. So now Zack has nowhere to go in New Orleans, and he's got to live in a hotel while Lana and the kids are with a new boyfriend.
Yeah.
You think she had him on the side?
Oh, for sure.
She had him the whole time.
The whole time?
I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, but I think the worst of people, so.
Well, you're probably right.
She didn't, or she just moves real quick.
I mean, she was probably back in stripping, and you can meet a lot of people if you're a stripper, I would think.
I'm sure he's a great guy.
Yeah.
So now Zack is just basically Mr. Dad.
Oh, good for you, Zack.
And he feels decent about it.
Oh,
He
so
still
happy.
got a little bit of money left over from the Army, so he didn't have to work. So he is like cooking, cleaning, doing the homework, doing the grocery shopping for the kids. Because eventually Lana was like, come and live with us, but you're only Mr. Dad. We're not going to be together. So he
Come
does.
live with her and the boyfriend and the kids?
No, boyfriend's like in and out, but it's her and the kids. So
Still weird.
It is very weird. And so Zach's finally like, I got to get a job because my money's running out. So he gets a job at a bar. And this bar is called Hog's Bar. And I didn't know this when I was down there. I would have went to Hog's Bar.
Oh.
And there, because he looks so good, and he just got out from the Army. He's in good shape.
Yeah, look him up.
All the, I mean, he wouldn't have been our type, but to them, in the French Quarters, he looks good, I guess. So he got a job, and all the waitresses, like, loved him, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And even, like, the trans and the gays would come in, and they were, like, hitting on him. But he had his eye on one girl.
Oh.
Her name is Addie Hall. Adrian Hall. Or Adrian Addie Hall. But she wanted nothing to do with him. Like, she thought he was nerdy. She thought he was full of himself. So she didn't have anything to do with him for a couple weeks. And he finally won her over, and they were inseparable.
Okay.
Are you looking at him?
Yep.
What does he look like? Is he your type?
Well, they're just sitting outside smoking.
Yeah.
So I can't really tell what they look like.
Yeah. Well.
But she is tiny.
She's tiny, and so she's like 5 foot, and he's 7 foot.
Yeah,
that's
he's
crazy.
Real large.
She might not even been 5 foot. So, now enter Addie.
Okay.
And Addie came from North Carolina. She had not a great childhood. She was raped at a young age. She was abused, physically abused, sexually abused. But somebody taught her how to dance and sing and sew. So she was pretty multi-talented. So when she ran away for money, she would teach salsa lessons, ballroom dancing. She would like sew costumes. Like she would have been on HGTV had she not had undiagnosed bipolar.
Oh, no.
Or unmedicated bipolar disorder. So she would often live in her car. She finally moved to New Orleans, and that's how her and Zack got together. So now we got Zack, now we got Addie, and now you know who Lana is. And so Zack finally gets Addie to love her and love him, and so they're dating and they're inseparable. Like they're inseparable.
Yeah.
He would hang out at her shifts all the time after, and she would hang out on his shifts. They were inseparable for like all of July and August. And then here comes Hurricane Katrina, and she's coming to F shit up.
Is.
She does. So Mayor is like, everybody needs to go, but it's not mandatory. Yeah. So they decide to stay.
Yeah.
And that people just didn't have money to stay, or they didn't think it was that serious.
Yeah.
Well, Lana's like scared to death for her and her kids.
Like, let's go.
She's like, let's go. I got the car gassed up. Like, just come. And he's like, no, I'm going to be with Addie. She's like, bring Addie. I don't give a shit. Like, let's just go. The kids need their dad. I don't want you to drown. So he was like, no, I'll be all right. So he stayed with Addie. Mm-hmm. Lana had to get in that car and drive all the way to Houston by herself. And it was there was 80,000 people on the road.
I mean, yeah.
Then it was dangerous. There's a lot going on. He didn't think much was going to happen, but it did. It was horrible. It was Category 5 hurricane.
Because there's a lot of people who want to just like ride it out. Yeah. Just because.
There were two types of people. There was the evacuees and there was those holdouts.
Yeah.
And they were holdouts, and they were very stubborn holdouts. So they stayed put. 145-mile-per-hour winds, they stayed put. The whole city's like underwater, but the French Quarters, they stayed put in the French Quarters. Like no electricity, no water, they stayed put. And they loved life that way. Like they loved the fact that they could just go to a bar right down the road, get all the alcohol they can get because it's closed. They're just breaking in and getting it.
That's called a looter?
They were looting. Grocery store, if they needed some type of food, go in, get that canned food. They had a boom box that they put batteries in, so they had music, they had alcohol, and
What else do you need?
They loved not having bills. They loved
Yeah, who wouldn't?
not having a job, nobody paying rent. Like, they just loved the camping life. She walked around in a bikini every day.
Why don't they just be
He had
like
on flip-flops
homeless?
and shorts. I know. Why don't you just go live in a forest?
Yeah, why don't you go to Tent City?
Go to Tent City. Well,
I mean, you're
but you wouldn't have alcohol like all around you all
I'm sure
the
you
time.
would. Yeah, I'm sure you actually would.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Well, they would have bonfires every night. They'd throw like mattresses and debris, and they'd feed the, there was a couple people there, like maybe a handful. And so they'd feed them beans, and they just partied and listened to music and drank and smoke and did drugs, and he loved it. And the police would come by. She wanted to make sure, because there's still a lot of crime. People were desperate. So she utilized her boobies.
Oh, she did? She gave a little show?
She gave the
wanted some
police,
beads?
every time they came by,
Blowjob.
a show, a peep show, just so they keep coming by. And she was like, this is my way. This is my way
She's
of
like
keeping
waving
us
at them.
safe.
Okay.
If I show my boobs, they'll keep coming by daily and do like patrol checks.
I didn't feel from the pictures that she had like big boobs. Like,
No, but
does
they
it
probably
matter?
just wanted
They
to see
just want
something.
a little nip.
Anything. Anybody. It's
I would
just
not
new
be
nipples.
impressed with those boobs. I'm just saying. I mean, those would not be impressive.
No, no.
I would be like offended, actually.
You would be like, I'm never going back there
Yeah,
again.
yeah. I would be like, no, you're going to jail.
Well, these guys obviously loved
never
it
saw
because
anything like it. Okay. Even though
They
they are
kept
New
coming.
Orleans. Okay.
They kept coming. They kept coming. So here's what happens is 2 triggers happens during this amazing time that they are holdouts.
Uh-huh.
She almost gets raped when she breaks into a grocery store because there's somebody there waiting and they attack her. And that brings back all the shit from her childhood.
Oh,
So she comes back and then she's kind of going crazy a little bit. And then the 82nd Infantry comes and they're trying to get the last of the holdouts to leave. So then there's a bunch of soldiers in their boots, in their uniforms with their guns. And that brings back a lot of PTSD for Zack. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So now these triggers are kind of coming back for them. And then eventually everybody starts coming back to the French Quarter. So that means they got to go back to normal life.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want normal
They don't
life.
like it. They were living their best life.
They don't want to get a job. They don't want to pay rent. They don't want to wear clothes or take baths. Obviously, there's no water. I don't know what they were doing.
Well, in the pictures that Zack was not wearing shirts.
Yeah.
And there's like 3 pictures of the same ones over and over. So.
4 baths every day
Yeah.
is probably what they
Yeah.
took.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
French Quarters went from like a couple to 80,000 again. And they're overwhelmed and they're pissed. And then guess who's knocking at the door? Lana, baby.
Lana banana.
Where my money at? She's like, I've been working at Applebee's. You've been sitting here living your best, trashy life.
Your best trash life.
Best trash life. And I'm going to need a break from these kids. So eventually they got to live in a normal apartment. They got to get jobs. And he has to get the kids every 2 weeks, every other week, like a normal dad does, right?
Yeah.
So he tells Addie, and he's like, Addie, Lana wants to meet you because you're going to be stepmom.
Yeah.
It only makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Well, Addie's like, great. And she goes to Walmart and she buys like all these outfits for these kids. And she hangs them up and she's like, this is for Lily and just this for Jackson. And then here's the meet point day. She don't get out the car.
Oh.
She don't want to have anything to do with the kids. She don't want to have anything to do with Lana. She don't want to meet
Oh,
Lana's
because she's
boyfriend.
bipolar, so now she's
her
manic,
mood
and now
just-
she's not manic or
mood
depressive
just
or whatever.
changed. And so Zack just apologized for her. And
Oh.
so instead of them going home together with the kid,
Yeah.
Addie goes to the bar and stays out all night
Yeah.
and leaves him there with the kids. Which, okay, that's not your kid. Like, nobody's going to force you to take care of it. That's
Yeah.
probably what I would do, actually.
You go to the bar instead of meeting the kid.
Yeah. Yeah. So then it got so bad to where she was like, I don't even want those kids in my house. So when they come on your weekend, I'm going to need you to get a hotel. That was like,
Oh my god.
Addie, she is, I don't even know the word.
But
She is harsh.
But Zack is just like, okay,
can't, as long as I got you.
wow.
He's just loves everything about her.
Wow, she must give really good blowjobs.
Something. Or he's just real lonely. I don't know which one it is.
Probably both.
So, the kids in real life, their life is horrible. Like they're not horrible, but they're arguing back and forth. They'll break up.
And they're getting thrown from parent to parent. That's real bad.
Well,
I wonder what their story is right now.
I don't know. They probably changed identities and everything.
Oh my gosh.
So Zack and Addie were arguing all the time. Like they were drinking all night. They were doing drug binges, and then they would lose their temper. They'd break up. She'd kick them out. Then he'd come back. They'd make up for 2 days, and then it was
they had this good vicious cycle going on. Yeah,
and when it was good, it was amazing.
Well, it's like those people where you get to where you crave that. They enjoy that. They have to have that in their life, and if they don't, then it's well, this is boring. They want.
And maybe that's what it was because he went back every time.
Yes.
Every time.
Yeah.
Even one time he tried to leave her because he knows it's toxic, and he went to Oregon to stay with his dad, but he was sick. He missed her so much.
You need the drama.
She was sick. She missed him so much, depressed. And so they came back together, but it was only good for a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? So Zack becomes lonely. They're not having sex like they used to.
Oh, no.
They're not emotional or physical attachment anymore.
No.
So Zack has a new job in the LGBTQ community.
Hey.
I walked through this community because that's where they end up living.
There's
me and Soupy. So we're walking because we left our hotel. As soon as I got there, I was like, let's go get a hurricane and let's walk because I need to find Zack and Addie's apartment, right? So we're walking, and then you see 2 guys holding hands. Okay, whatever, fine. Then you see 2 girls. Then you see some drag queens. Then you see a bunch of rainbow flags, and then there's queer town everywhere. I was
it's
loving it.
Yeah, it's
there's a
definite
whole district,
wow.
a couple blocks. It's it's their area.
Oh my gosh.
And so Soupy was like,
oh, he's probably
shit.
What?
He was walking faster. He don't know what to think. Y'all, we're in Waco. We don't get that a lot. So he didn't know what to think.
No.
So we go to the house, and it's in the middle of gay bars all right here where Zack and Addie lived, right? So he's working at one of these bars, and he ends up getting a side piece.
Oh.
And the side piece
What's
is
his name?
a real estate agent. And they never said his name, but he is a his.
Mm.
He is a he. And he's proud of their relationship, but Zack wants to keep it quiet.
Yeah.
So guess what? Everybody finds out.
Oh.
And Addie is included. So Addie throws a fit like no other at his job, at her job, everywhere. Everybody, now she's telling everybody.
Yeah.
She even texts people in his phone or calls everybody in his phone and tells them that she says the F word, he's a faggot, and that he has AIDS. All the girls, all the guys, everybody in his phone. Oh. And so now he's really he has nowhere to go. Now he's really homeless. He's living with Squirrel. He'd live
Squirrel back.
Yeah. He'd spend the night in abandoned buildings. He is not even talking to his boyfriend anymore because his boyfriend outed him. And so his life is now this is another failure, right? Another failure in his book.
Well, yeah.
So Addie's pissed. She's so pissed. All she's doing is.
Plus, she's embarrassed. If he's not wanting to come out, that's
You have, he's embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because when Squirrel asked him about it, Squirrel was like, so, I heard about this. And he was like, Zack was like, well, I'm not gay. I'm just kind of bi. This girl was like, well,
which, and this was
bi?
This was when was this?
2005, 6?
Yeah. So if this happened today, it would be
I'm everything. I'm bad today, but I'm gay tomorrow. But I'm going to be heterosexual.
I can't keep up with all the different things, but it would be all the it would be like, okay, well, that's fine. I can't even.
Well, and you would think there, like anything's acceptable in New Orleans, but he wasn't ready to come to that. But then Addie had a right to be pissed. She thought her boyfriend was heterosexual. Then you find out he's screwing some real estate agent.
Yeah.
He's even got a better job than you. He's a boy, and he's got a better job than you.
And probably cuter.
Probably cuter.
They probably had a clean house.
No, I didn't say that part, but she has a good house. She's basically Joanna, Chip and Joanna.
Oh.
When she lives in an apartment. She redoes the house really good. Okay, so she's pissed. And she's not going to work, and she's drinking more, and she's doing more drugs. Yeah. So she's running out of money, and she gets evicted. So she's about to be homeless. Zack's homeless, and she's like, you know what? I'm going to get him. I'm going to show him. I'm going to call him up and tell him we need to work it out and that I love him just so he can pay for this apartment for me. So she does.
Get it, girl.
And Zack is like, he just wants something to work in his life. He just wants some type of success. So he's like, yeah, sure, where's the apartment? So they go to 826 Rampart Streets. It's October 2nd, in the middle of that gay LGBT community in the French Quarters. They go to Leo. They pay 2 months rent, so $750 times 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then they move their boxes in, right? 2 days later, Addie backdoors Zack, and he goes to Leo. She goes to Leo, and she says, Leo, I'm signing the lease, but he's not going to be on it. It's just my name. So Leo's like, it's not my business. I got my money. Let me just do it.
Whatever.
So when she comes back, she tells him and rubs it in his face. Get the fuck out. You're homeless. You're not shit. You're an F word. You like all these things. And she wouldn't shut up. And this is him saying she wouldn't shut up. They argued for hours and hours and hours. And then about midnight, he calmly wraps his hands around her throat.
And this is when he does it.
And he strangled her.
Oh, no.
He said, she tried to kick me out and she would not shut the fuck up. So I very calmly strangled her. Now, he has just remembered all his failures in his life. He's losing military pension, abandoning his kids, like failed marriage, now homelessness. And so he couldn't take any more, and I guess it was all Addie's fault. It wasn't at all.
This is Brian Laundrie.
Maybe. There's way more to the story than we think.
Oh, my gosh. Just the whole fact of, like, just you're like, be quiet. I don't know. I'm just making this up. Like, be quiet, and I'm strangling.
Yeah. Yeah. Very calmly, like, strangled her.
Oh, awful, awful. That's the worst. I think that is just because it's so intimate. It's just like,
yeah,
let me watch you die.
Oh, yeah. I want to feel your life.
Let me feel, yes.
Leave with my own body.
Oh, my gosh. It's so terrible.
Break.
Hey, are you interested in anything related to mental health, maybe motivation, or even opening your mind to new ideas? Then if you have a second, maybe come check out my podcast called Real Life Discussions, where I tell stories and give general info on those topics that I just listed, as well as some conversational episodes. I can't wait to see you there.
He strangled her very calmly, and then he was confused of what to do next because he had all these feelings. He had rage, he had
animosity,
he had lust,
confusion,
he had love, he was confused, he had all these things.
He had a boner.
He had a boner, and he turned her over, and he sexually assaulted her body a couple of times. So now is he not only a failure, he's a murderer and a necrophiliac.
Way to go.
Did you just add that to your list of failures? Like, did he?
Yeah. He just wanted to go all out.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening because people are like,
maybe he smoked some like K2.
Maybe.
Spice. Maybe something was laced.
Is it spice? I don't know. I don't know about all these things, but I know K2 makes you do weird things. They should have did an autopsy.
Well, because I've been watching all these disappearance videos, and now all these people are like, oh,
it's all K2.
Yeah.
Don't do K2, y'all.
Mm-mm.
So he didn't know what to do next after he had sex with her body a couple times. So he just passed out next to it.
Yeah, he's tired.
And then he had to go to work the next morning. So he got up and he went to work and he did a full 8-hour shift at the grocery
He's
store.
responsible, April.
Obviously. He wasn't even late.
No.
He works with Capriccio, which is like Addie's ex-boyfriend. And at the store, Capriccio was like, hey, where's Addie? Because he's their friend. He'd see them together all the time.
Oh, she's asleep.
Yeah. Well, he fed him a good lie. The lie was Addie, actually, we broke up and he took off to North Carolina. She took off to North Carolina, which is where she was from.
Okay.
But days and weeks before, she was saying, I'm done with French quarters. I'm going to go back to North Carolina.
So
they
fit
were like,
in perfectly with
they
his
didn't
story.
even like question it. Then after work, he went to his friend Jack's house and Jack asked for Addie. He told him the same thing. And Jack was like, you know what? She did ask me for $600 to go back home. So, it makes sense. So nobody really missed Addie for a little bit.
Yeah.
But on the inside, Zack was panicking because he was like, people are not going to stop. And then they're going to come to this apartment and they're going to see her body.
Yes, and it's
so
going to
then
smell.
he was like, I need to get rid of the body. So he went home. It's about 9:00 that night. And he put her in the bathtub and he slowly cleaned up his own crime scene. He dismembered her. He hacked her head off with a hacksaw. He hacked her hands off and her feet off and her head. I already said that. He's writing all this in his journal. It's Addie's journal, but this is like everything he's writing detail by detail. He put her hands and feet in the water on the stove, and he worked all night in the bathroom. I'm sure it was like just a dull hacksaw. And so you got to like cut and cut and cut and cut, right?
Like at what point do you
And so then he was like, oh, I'm tired. I got plenty of time to do this. So he just turned on the bath water, filled up the bath, like where her body was in there. And he was just like, turn off the stove. And he was like, I got plenty of time. I'll finish this, tomorrow. Yeah. So then he went to sleep. And I think his goal, he never said this, but I think his goal was like dissect, dismember, cook her down, and just like throw it away like you would like old food.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, nobody's ever been successful with that.
No.
Nobody. Dennis tried it. Jeffrey Dahmer tried it. Catherine Knight tried it. Like, I don't think you could just cook down human meat. Now, your guy tried it, Fat Joe. It actually worked for him.
Yeah.
He knew how to cook really well.
He put it straight into the beef sandwiches.
Pork. Oh, was it beef?
Beef. Yeah, pork. Pork beef. Pork beef.
Oh, I forgot about those animals. Pork and beef.
Pork beef sandwiches. Somebody, well, that's another story.
So, he was like, okay, I got plenty of time, right?
Yeah,
but instead, he didn't even take the time that he should have. He probably could have been successful at this had he like put his effort into it, but he didn't. Instead, he went to bars and he was with girls. Now, the next day, Lily and Jackson were supposed to come over. So he had to hurry up and call Lana. And he called Lana and he was like, Lana, don't bring the kids over. Meet me at the grocery store. Because what would they, they would have walked in on some craziness.
Yeah.
So she met him at the grocery store.
So it's like he wasn't insane because he knew exactly what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He gave her $600 and he said, give me another week to clean up the apartment. They can come next weekend. He bought the kids anything that he said, go pick whatever you want from the shelves. They bought all their snacks. He got them. He gave them a hug and he says, I'll see y'all next weekend. And they were excited. Lana says later he was in the best mood she's seen him in a long time. Just really weird.
Oh my gosh.
So then he went back to his apartment and then he sawed off her legs, her arms, and he put them in the turkey roasting pans, stuck them in the oven. But here's the problem. He was drinking too much Jameson, and he passed out for 7 hours. So maybe had he done it right, then he might have could have cooked it down right. I don't know how meat does. But 7 hours when he woke up, it was charred, and it smelled horrible. So then he was like, this shit ain't going to work. Like, this is a bad plan. Let me just go to work, but this is going to be my last day of work because I got another plan.
Yeah, okay.
So
many plans.
He's got to switch it up. Plan C.
Plan
This is
H.
Plan C. Plan H. Okay. So he completed his shift at the store. And Addie's body's just like still back there. in the
Yeah,
apartment. Like, she's just waiting to be finished up, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he is like, I am not going to try to get rid of her body.
Yeah.
I'm just going to live my best life.
I'm just going to go spend my money, get some hookers, get some drugs, and go.
Yes. So he has $1,500 to his name, and he was like, I'm going to spend every penny.
Yeah.
This is 3 days after he killed, and he killed Addie, and he walked into his apartment, and he smelled her.
He's like, it smells
and he
awful.
was like, he was disgusted with himself.
Yeah.
But not the fact that he killed her. The fact that he can like chop her up and cook her and treat somebody that he wants love like that. Which great reason to be disgusted with yourself.
I mean, yeah, slightly.
So he called in, he quit his job, and he was like, let me just be happy and then kill myself.
Okay.
I think he probably really wanted to go to hell. Like, this is not
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, that's probably not, no.
The things to do right before. So he was in a drug binge. He like did all the Jameson, snorted all the coke. He was getting all the lap dances. He was spending all his time in the French Quarter strip clubs.
He was
and there's a lot.
living in hell.
I mean, yeah.
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 You're just you're channeling Satan at this point.
It's
You're
like, let me just make sure I end up down there with you,
let me
Satan.
do everything I can to make sure that I am going to literally be sitting next to
rotting in hell. And maybe he thought
Joseph
he deserved
Fritzl
that.
and everybody.
Yeah.
He's going to be next to Joseph Fritzl. He's going to be next to
Coral.
He's going to be next
Ariel.
to everybody. Ariel.
Oh.
Oh, he's right next to Ariel.
But he's going to be the taker, not the giver.
Oh.
Because he's...
Yeah.
So who... Like,
He's Jeffrey Dahmer. They're
all going to give it to him.
They're...
You know what? I'm going to
American
get on my
Horror
high
Story
horse about Jeffrey Dahmer, though, in a minute.
Oh.
Because some people say, like, there's this whole Christian magazine that, like, he may not be in hell because he was genuinely sorry and he, like repented and repented of sin.
According to Catholics,
very sorry.
All you got to do is say a few Hail Marys, do some sprints.
Well, that's wrong, but
and you're good to go.
But all sins are
go
forgiven.
to confession.
So what if we go to heaven and Jeffrey Dahmer's there?
Well, then I guess we can just
ask him all the questions.
Yeah, because I mean, he won't do anything to us because we're female.
Yeah.
So.
And he's in heaven. He's cured.
Yeah, I guess. Oh my gosh.
So I'm.
You should pray about it and see if he'll like come to you in your dreams.
Channel me.
Yeah.
We'll see. So okay. So he goes home with these girls. He's having all the sex, right?
Yeah.
And then he's calling Lana and he's doing all these things. Well, finally, nobody hears from Zack in a couple days. And that's when he's planning his exit from the world. He is like already written all his 8-page journal about everything that's happened. He smokes a cigarette and he puts 28 cigarette burns all over his body because he's 28 years old now.
Okay.
And on his suicide note, he describes his last days as good food, good drugs, and good strippers.
Oh.
And he says, I had a fantastic time living out my days. Then he quoted Metallica's song, Fuck It All and Fucking No Regrets. It's crazy because what was Chris Watts listening to when he was
I don't know.
driving his family's
I don't know.
body? Metallica.
What?
He quoted this song too.
Where was that? Was that on the documentary?
It was in the book.
Well,
I think it was in one of the documentaries, but I remember reading it in the books. And him and his girlfriend would talk about Metallica all the time. But Metallica's great. It's not Metallica's fault.
Like
but
his girlfriend from prison right now?
Nikki.
I'm sure.
Nikki. His girlfriend Nikki, that his side piece that he had.
Oh.
Yeah, his reason for killing his family.
Yeah. Or that's not Scott Peterson, is it? No, that's...
Same situation.
Same situation.
Almost. So he chronicled every single thing that he did to Addie in this journal with excruciating detail. These can be found somewhere. I just need to find them.
You don't have them?
He listed out his failures as friends, jobs, military, marriage, love. I need to see if somebody can email these to me.
I think we can
confession
find
letters.
it. Or I can just get a biography from Dirty Jen.
So at the bottom of the letter,
Mike's about to yell
he
at us.
wrote, "The only numbers left are friends and family members, so go to work." He spray painted Landa's number on the wall above the bathtub, and in reference to Addie, he wrote, "I loved her" on the living room wall. And then on October 17th is when he went to the Omni rooftop, and at 8:30 p.m. sharp, he jumped off the roof.
Oh.
My thing is why 8:30 p.m.? I wonder what that meant.
I don't think it meant anything. I think he just was finishing his drinks.
Yeah, and then just waited till it was like an even number on the clock. Like it's 5:59 right now. If we were going to jump in, we would wait a minute to jump at 6
What do you think it has anything to do with the time?
I don't know.
Or he just got there at whatever time, and then he was like, I'm drunk enough, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, he probably needed to get the liquid courage to go.
Yeah.
So his parents found out about it. You know, news traveled quick. Lana hated him. She had all the emotions. She was like, I hate him for doing this, but then I'm glad he did it because I didn't want to put my kids through a trial.
Oh, that's true.
And then she was like, she was pissed that he chose his last days to be full of that shit instead of like spending time with his kids. His parents didn't have a funeral for him. They had the body cremated and they never picked up his ashes. They left him there so Aunt Lana and his kids can have them. Oh. So Lana held onto these ashes and she was like, one minute she'd be angry and she'd be like, I'm setting these bitches on fire in the backyard. But then she'd remember him for a great dad that he was. Like she saw the good and the bad.
Yeah.
So she didn't do it. Addie was also cremated and nobody picked her up for months. Like they tried to get a hold of the family. Like nobody really missed her. So she wasn't picked up until like February the next year.
Oh.
And her family just kind of never even responded to Ethan about anything.
Fun. That's nice.
So here's the horrible thing about Addie is like she's the victim and she kind of gets the worst part of it. Like because she's the one that had the worst temper. She's the one that didn't have the family to speak on her behalf. And then her job, this is the worst. Her job, the spotted cat, that's where she was working, where she, I know I went in there. When she died, they made shirts, and the shirt said, "Nothing says lovin' like my girlfriend in the oven."
No!
It's horrible.
No!
They made tons of money off these shirts at the expense of their own employee. Like, I can see if it was like somebody else's employee, but this is yours.
Would you have bought a shirt? I'm about to order one online.
Probably. And this is what's horrible is like, it's horrible, it's great because...
Weird?
It's not great. I know.
Real bad.
Because Morbid was talking about this and they were like, now you can like tour.
Oh, they were saying how disgusted they were about it.
One of them was like, I couldn't do it. And the other one was like, I'm pretty sure I would go. Yeah. And that's me. Like I would go. This is why my first day in New Orleans was the best day because I went to all these places, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just different people, and that's why they have all these tours. Story.
Oh, tell us.
Ethan Brown was such a good author, and he was such a good researcher, right? Yeah. When he was looking through Zack's military records, he found a life insurance policy for $250,000, and it was a rare one because it pays even when it's suicide. So he brought that to Lana's attention, and as of this book, she had a lawyer, and she was actually about to get the policy paid out to her and her kids.
Wow!
So yay,
Zack. Not Zack.
For at least that. Oh, I mean, because he got the policy out and he left it to her and the kids.
Oh, okay.
So yay, like one good thing.
But yay for the author guy who found it.
Yay, Ethan. Badass.
Otherwise, nobody.
I would go on vacation with Ethan. Did I tell you that Ethan ended up moving to New Orleans just to write this book? He immersed himself in New Orleans just to
Does he have any other books, or is he like...
He does, but I can't remember any now. But it was pretty good. It was really good. And he channeled his inner Zack just like I did when I was there.
Yeah,
so I feel like
absolutely.
me and Ethan would be good partners.
Yeah. Are you trying to fire me?
No. We'll write a book together.
Okay.
We'll write your book together.
Oh my gosh.
He will move to Waco and live in
Get Ethan
your
here
extra
so he
room.
can write my book.
So last but not least, Margaret Sanchez. This is actually could be another story. This was Addie's good friend down there. She wasn't talked about on that podcast, but if you watch any of the documentaries, she's on there. She's crying like her and Addie worked together for years and years and years, right? She was later arrested in 2002 for guess what?
What?
Murder, decapitation, and dismemberment of a stripper in the French Quarters who went missing.
What?
So supposedly...
Wait, Margaret, who is this? This
Margaret
is Addie's friend?
Addie's friend, Margaret Sanchez.
Okay, Addie's friend, Margaret Sanchez.
Her and her boyfriend
and
hired a stripper
stripper
to come home with them. And I guess they had some upside down pineapples on the door.
Well, yeah.
And then the girlfriend and then the stripper never showed up anywhere else. She went missing after that.
And they murdered?
And supposedly, well, she's in jail for decapitation and dismemberment, and they dumped her body in the Mississippi River. So they drove.
Wait, what does it have to do with Addie? Just because she worked with her?
She was best friends with Addie. So what's crazy is it happened in the French Quarters.
Uh-huh.
She's Addie's friend. She was on the documentary talking about how sad she was
Oh,
and how
she was on the
horrible of a crime that it was, and how could Zack do that to her? But she went and did it a couple years later to somebody else.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
It can actually be a little quickie episode that we do because it's not a big story.
Sure.
So maybe that's my last story of December. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But there you go. Zack and Addie, tragic tale. It's
Zaddy.
crazy. They are Zaddy.
Wow.
They were Zaddy till they were not anymore.
Yep.
I think we need to go to New Orleans and find another story.
Oh my gosh, I bet you do. Let's go straight to LaLaurie or LaLaurie. Oh my gosh.
She needs
Just
to be a
just go watch American Horror Story.
It's the best.
Which I don't know which season it was, but it's all about her.
It's great.
It's I can't remember.
Is it Coven?
I don't even know.
I don't know either. Anyways, y'all, thanks for tuning in. You guys will hear our voice every week this month. Like, we know it's Christmas, but this is our Christmas present to you guys.
Yep. I'm going to have a Christmas one coming for you.
She's going to find a good Christmas murder
Yep.
right before the holidays, just for you.
Yeah.
We are glad you tuned in. Don't forget to send this episode or any of our others to a couple of your friends.
Yeah.
Tell them to tune in.
And when you're out there shopping, guys, just pay attention. Pay attention. Don't be on your phone walking out the store to your car and somebody's going to attack you and then they're going to steal your gifts and then they're going to steal your life. So don't do that.
Yeah. Yep. People are real crazy around this time of year. Anyways, we will see y'all next week. Don't forget to
stay aware.
Stay alive.
And always be DTF.
Bye, y'all.
Adios. Amigos. Chicas.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.